All right. Here we go, back again on the other side of the coin. All right, we are back again on the other side of the coin. Chelsea news, we are here. We are ready to rock and roll. Unfortunately, Amir is not here, the trio that we generally have. Amir's on vacation, so he's enjoying himself, which is just as well. Already, we've got quite a lot of people that have joined in. Thank you so much, guys. We've got Declared here, Sutharsen's here. We've got Justin. We've got Horizont. He's gone mad in the live chat already. So I do appreciate that. And a lot more people are tuning in. So while you guys are coming in, please smash the like button as you guys are here. Pratik is here as well. Thank you so much. Kishan, my boy, how you doing?
I'm all good, bro. It was nice watching the England game. I know you don't want us to bring it home, but it's looking like a good sort of ending for us. If you gave us Denmark in the semi-final at the start of the tournament, we would have bit your hand off. So
it's coming home, isn't it? It's coming home, isn't it?
See, you know what? It really reminds me of our Champions League campaign, where like you can say it's coming home, but it's like we should get to the final, and then from there it's like that one-off game. You never know what happens, but yeah, it's quite similar to our Champions League campaign, I feel like.
100. I love this commentary from Roby. I'm buzzing for the fact that at least one Chelsea player will be European champion for both club and country. This is fantastic. Honestly, this is such a news for us because we've got Christensen with Denmark, we've got Mason Mount, Chilwell, Reece James for England, we've got Jorginho and Emerson for Italy, and we've got Azpilicueta for Spain. So, Kishan, that's great news, yeah?
It literally, and none of these are like side players as well. So like, just say England win it, we've got 3 that win it. So none of them are like the side players. If Italy win it, I know you've got Emerson on that side, but there's Jorginho who's been like a mainstay in that team.
Well,
so
you know what, Kishan, Emerson will become the top pick now because, I mean, sad news with Spinazzola. Yeah. So Emerson will probably start. I mean, he should start, right?
No, I think he's pretty much bang on to start then, because I think the one game that they rested Spinazzola against Wales, Emerson played, and he played quite well as well. So I don't think. Thing is, Spinazzola's been so good, so they might lose something. But Emerson, I still think there's a player in Emerson. It's not like he's completely bad. No. There's definitely a player in there. It's just the concentration level. So yeah, no, that's great. And the fact that like someone will have a Euros and a Champions League, what a summer for that player.
Oh man, fantastic! You know what? I'm not a massive supporter of Spain, but I'm so ecstatic for Azpilicueta, man. He's a starter for Spain now. I think he missed out on the first game, and then he came on. And since then, they've not been losing with Azpilicueta, and he's actually been one of their very better players.
They've still been really bad defensively, but you can't really say it's his fault. But it's like, since he's come in, and they've been winning, they just kept him in there, and it finally feels like he's getting the respect he deserves, like internationally, because I think for someone of his level and how good his career's been, he's not actually had that many Spain caps. So I think now it's a time where he's actually getting appreciated, and he got his first goal a bit ago as well.
Yeah, I like this commentary from Declared. It's so cheeky. You forgot to say Rice. Of course. Yes, Rice is another one of those Chelsea players that's up for the contention. Let's be honest. He's probably, I mean, we are going to talk about Chelsea news and the preseason. That's what the show is about, guys. But I just want to quickly talk to Kishan about this. I mean, Kishan, he's probably the most Chelsea player that is a non-Chelsea player, isn't it?
He's the most talked about Chelsea player. And he's not one. But yeah, I don't know what happens with it. But you got to say, yesterday he did put in a good performance.
He did well.
About it as well. Yeah, he was really good for that kind of DM profile that I think we're missing. You know, that someone just solid defensively was in the right place all the time.
He allowed the attackers to roam around and be free whenever they had the ball. And also at the time, you know, where Luke Shaw was bombing up and, you know, crossing those balls in for Kane, he made sure he covered ground laterally. Do you know what I mean? So it's quite important. Look, there was a lot of the times where Ukraine had the ball, and that's understandable. England was 1-0 up after 4 minutes, and then obviously after that literally just allowed them to come in, soak up the pressure, and hit on the counter.
Honestly, that game at 1-0 was done, and like every single chance that Ukraine got, it was from like literal stupid mistakes from England. And it was like Kyle Walker literally switched off twice and gave them 2 chances. Then you had Pickford, who had a bit of a brain fart in the second half. It was so weird because he's been quite solid. I don't really rate the guy, but for England, I have to say he's been quite solid. But I don't know, in the second, it felt like he had a brain fart in him, and it was just he got like overexcited when he was doing nothing, and then all of a sudden he had a few things to do, and he was just overcomplicated. Ran out of his box, tried to slice a clearance.
They run out of his box, and then what was it? That's the thing about Pickford, man. Like he's so erratic. But you look, you know what? England, they have not conceded. You've got all the way to the semi-finals without conceding, which is crazy. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about the big thing, which is right here. Bobby Smokey signals preseason starts on Monday. Yeah, Kishan, we are back starting from tomorrow. Chelsea are back in training at Cobham, which is fantastic news. I want to talk about this first before we talk about the players and some of the, because a lot of some of the loan players and some of the academy players are actually going to get a bit of a look into this particular preseason. More specifically this week and the next week, because it's going to be a staggered sort of, players coming in. Like the top-notch players are probably not going to come in as yet. They're probably going to have another week off. And then next week we may see Pulisic and Ziyech and all of those players come in. And then the week after we start seeing maybe Kante. And then, depending on where England finishes and whatnot, all the other players, they'll probably come right at the end of the month or maybe even beginning of August. You know what I mean? Because they deserve a bit of a break. Like, every player, I think, deserves at least 3 to 4 weeks off. I think that's generally the time off. So, first of all, Kishan, before we get into all of the nitty-gritty, how you feel about the preseason, my man?
I'm so gassed to actually have some Chelsea content again. So when we look on the social media, I want to see there's pictures and videos of these players training, and it's exciting to see players like, the loan army and players who've done well, like Conor Gallagher, and even ones like Loftus-Cheek who haven't done so well. But I just want to see where they stand with Tuchel. So I want to see, I think generally when the first lineup comes out of preseason and someone's playing, you'll be able to tell, you'll be able to forge an idea if Tuchel thinks that this person has a chance to be in our squad and stuff. So it's just it's really interesting to see, because we have so many of those kind of guys who are just on the fringes, could be included as a squad player or so. But yes, that's what I'm really looking forward to. And it's even preseason games, I start watching them, and then I just get so bored by them. But I feel like it might actually be different, because I'm on the proper lookout to see which of these youngsters can actually make it with us.
No, man, I'm excited. I'm like you as well. Sometimes I get a bit bored with some of these preseason games, but I'm really keen on some of these players. I'll read out Nizar Kinsella put out a nice article about the whole preseason, and he's pretty much highlighted one player that is going to be, and we're going to talk about him right now, one player that's going to have a big shot in this particular preseason, and Thomas Tuchel's very keen on seeing this player, is Ruben Loftus-Cheek. So, like you said, sometimes we get bored with some of these preseason games, but I'm very excited to see how Ruben Loftus-Cheek comes back, because I feel like, Kishan, he has to be determined. You have to be determined. This is it, my man. You did not have the greatest season with Fulham, under Scott Parker, who played really, really, really good football, actually. Fulham actually played nice football. But I'm just shocked that someone like Ruben didn't get ahead of some of the Fulham boys. And no disrespect to some of those Fulham boys at all. They played really well. I just thought that maybe Ruben Loftus-Cheek would have penciled him down as a starter. What's your thoughts about Ruben Loftus-Cheek coming back in this preseason under Thomas Tuchel? Thomas Tuchel in the press conference saying in Germany, they heard a lot about Ruben Loftus-Cheek. They even expected Ruben to come to Germany at one stage and be part of one of the clubs over there. I think he would have absolutely killed the Bundesliga. He would have been the next big thing over there. But yeah, how you feeling, Kishan, about Ruben Loftus-Cheek?
With him, I'm in two minds, because I get the whole Tuchel saying that he reminds him of Michael Ballack and all that stuff in Germany. But it's I feel like that was a very PR kind of answer. And I didn't really expect, even though he said that, because you got to remember, we are the Champions League winners. So it's a player we should be linked with the best players. And then you have this player who's just gone on loan at Fulham, and he's not really done that well if you're looking at it, because he started quite well. But even I think he only grabbed one goal, and some of the chances I actually saw him get into quite advanced positions, and it's just like he lacked that composure. I don't know if that was from lack of game time overall, like not that he lacked game time at Fulham, even though he was on the bench. He got enough games, but it's just maybe over the course of 2-3 years he's not played enough games. But I really can't see him being more than a squad player in this team, because you look at how we play right now, and if we're staying with that 3-4-3, I'm not too sure which position he'd fit in, because would you have him as a 10 now? I can't really see him playing as a 10 behind the striker. Can't really see him as one of the number 6s. So it's like I can't see him being anything but a bench player, to be honest.
Here's the thing though, Kishan. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
There's 2 things here that you've mentioned. What position and bench player. I want to talk about what position secondary. I do want to talk about the bench player situation that you're saying. I think in the initial parts of the season, he may actually get an opening opportunity, because players are going to come in, they'll be resting, they may not be starting straight away. They'll be in that sort of preseason. Like, for example, Mason Mount, right? He's one player. You know, if England goes all the way to the final, that's what we are expecting. No disrespect to Denmark once again. Denmark could do the trick over there with England. But even then, he's probably not going to be, I don't know whether he starts against Crystal Palace. If England wins, goes all the way to the final, he's definitely, he'll be on a break. He'll definitely be on a break. Whether he starts against Crystal Palace, I don't know. So I think Ruben may get a bit of a chance, like the Super Cup. I'm pretty sure he will probably get a chance, and maybe even that first game, depending on if the preseason goes well for him. So that's my perspective on whether he gets game time. Initially, he will have the opportunity to impress. Now, the second question, where does he actually play? That's the big one, right? I want to ask you, Kishan, do you expect Thomas Tuchel to do something different in this preseason? Maybe try something different, or is he going to just stick with the back 3? I mean, none of his players are going to be around to play that back 3 for the first couple of weeks in training. And maybe in the first week, it's just going to be about getting the fitness level up, as opposed to, let's try a different formation or whatnot. And obviously, people would have read the news article that there is an island trip that is fixed for the first couple of weeks until, obviously, we play Arsenal and Spurs in early August. So from your perspective, what do you think, man? What's your sort of gut instinct saying that what's he going to try in this preseason?
Sure. I think in terms of a formation change, I'm not sure if he'll change it going into the season, but preseason is one of those times where you can experiment, and I think he will do that with all these different players as well. I think another thing is he'll kind of want to see with someone like Ruben in a 3-4-3, if he can't play him as a 10 or a 6, I think he'll be keen to see how he performs in like a 4-3-3 in preseason.
Yeah.
In with a lot of these players, because you look at someone like Conor Gallagher as well. I'm not really sure he's a 6, and I'm not really sure he could be that level as a 10. But he can do a bit of both well. Yeah. So there's a lot of players that actually fit into that part where they're not specialist 6s and they're not creative enough to be.
And they're not really inside forwards either. Then again, maybe that's the only position I see Ruben Loftus-Cheek play, the inside forwards, as opposed to a 10 or a pivot player. One of the 2 inside forwards up top. That's the only where I kind of see him playing in a 3-4-3 or 3-2-3 situation. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and the other thing that you said, Miz, about him getting some early game time, I think you have to remember, when you look at our first 7 fixtures, they don't look like we can hand out minutes to anyone.
True. Well, I think we've got City, Liverpool, and
brutal. Arsenal second. We've got
Arsenal second. Yeah.
Who's got a lot, even like games like Villa at home. It's just so tough. So I don't think we can, like, even from now, I really can't see him getting that kind of game time, because I know you're saying with Mason being out and stuff, but even with that, you look at what kind of stuff we've still got in the squad, and then you still got players like Ziyech, like, who aren't getting game time, and then you're gonna add like a Ruben Loftus-Cheek into the equation. And the thing with Ruben is he's not a young player, so he's 25 now, and the one thing that always sticks out with him is because of his profile, like how big he is. I always thought he was such a unique player. But when you look at our academy now and you see someone like Tino Andrin, I know Andrin's not as big, but he's that similar profile of that bulldozer kind of midfielder that can run on the ball and stuff. So I'm not really fixated on this. I'd love for him to come good because I think it's been a bit unfortunate how his career's gone with us with that friendly game and stuff. But if I'm being honest, and I just look at how he was playing at Fulham next season, he's going to be determined, like you said, to come in. But he needs to be a lot more than determined because he's coming into this Chelsea team that are pushing for a league title now. He needs to, if you're not world class or around that level, it's going to be really hard to get yourself in this team or this squad pretty much because we've got the second best squad pretty much apart from City as well. So really, really tough for him.
You know what, Kishan, you've said something so important here, and I probably didn't click straight away in my mind. That first phase of the few games, even the Villarreal one for Super Cup, is we need to win that. Like it's not like it's not a freebie. Like it's a trophy. It's a legitimate, proper trophy. And then the first few segments of the games, if we want to challenge for the Premier League, as Thomas Tuchel said, we need to be chasing Man City from day one.
Yeah.
From day one. Crystal Palace game, that first game, that's a serious game. Like, I don't care. That's a serious damn game that we need to be winning, and we can't be dropping points first game of the season. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when I think about it that way, man, this is huge for Ruben Loftus-Cheek, Isran. Honestly. There could not be a bigger moment for him this preseason, how huge this is, if he wants to make it as a Chelsea footballer. Because if he screws this preseason up, Kishan, I think that's it. I think that's it. Like, it may be a loan, and then we look to sell him. Do you know what I mean? So...
And Miz, you look at, like, us chasing City from day one. He's not going to get any handouts, like, just because he's Ruben Loftus. If anything, because he's not a bought player, we didn't spend 70-odd million on him, he's definitely not going to get handouts. So... it's like, I know that he'll have the determination factor and all that, but so will other players such as Conor Gallagher and so. Everyone wants to get into our team, but it's just, I don't know. When you look at our games and stuff that we've got coming up, he can, if he makes it on merit, he can definitely do it. But it's just the positioning is just an accumulation of factors that make you wonder, like, how he's going to fit in, basically.
100%. And this question here from the Beautiful Game is perfect. Hey, Ms. Kishan, we'll have Jorginho, Kante, Gallagher, Ruben Loftus-Cheek, and possibly Rice, Tchouaméni fighting two positions depending on the formation. So who gets sold, loan? One player you probably missed out over here is also Kovacic falls into that category as well. So let's talk a little bit about that before we talk about the next few players in this whole preseason who we're going to look into to encapsulate the whole Ruben Loftus-Cheek discussion. I mean, this is a very good question, Kishan. If we do, let's say, argument's sake, we maintain the three at the back and play with the double pivot, and we play the wing backs and three up top with two inside forwards and the striker, or false nine, let's just say, whoever it is. If it's Erling Haaland, then it's a striker. If it's not Erling Haaland, then it's Kai Havertz as a false nine. So let's genuinely ask you now this question here. As you can see, we're quite stacked. I think we will get a midfielder coming in because Billy Gilmore's gone. So I'm pretty certain whether it's Tchouaméni or Rice. I think Rice will be difficult. It will be so difficult to get him off West Ham. So I'm taking that out of the equation now. It can still happen. It can still happen, but I'm taking that out of the equation.
Yeah, it's not relevant which one it is. You just think that there will be a player coming in that position.
Correct. So you got Kante, you got Jorginho, you got Kovacic, and you've got that other fourth midfielder that will come in, whether it's Tchouaméni or Rice. Someone's coming in. I think Gallagher is probably either going to get another loan or maybe sold. I don't know. I would like to see another loan because he's literally not going to get game time if we are having Ruben Loftus-Cheek in the background somewhere. So it's good if he goes on a loan, another Premier League loan. He did fantastically well for West Brom, and we will talk a little bit about that down the track. But Kishan, where do you see Ruben Loftus-Cheek starting in that 3-4-3 formation?
I don't. We've been saying, so it's like potentially if they keep him as like a fifth guy there and he gets a few minutes here and there, or possibly like because of his profile, like I was saying, he's a unique kind of profile. So if we're like seeing out a game or like we need some injection of pace in midfield and Tuchel feels like bringing him on and that's it. But I can't really see him starting any games in any sort of position like that unless we say we change to a four at the back. But how likely is that when we've just done this well with a three system? I guess that kind of depends on what Tuchel sees in preseason. I think if he goes to a four and he likes what he sees and thinks we can work with that, it wouldn't completely surprise me if like we're really flexible next season. So we go into three, sometimes we go into a four. Might actually be the case, I think. And if we were to play a 4-3-3 and stuff, then Ruben Loftus-Cheek comes into your thinking a bit more.
Would you, as I said, personally, I think maybe, let's just say arguments like he comes off the bench. I'd probably see him play in one of the inside forward roles and maybe even a double in one of the double pivot sort of positions. But if I was to ask you, Kishan, would you rule out a loan again for Ruben Loftus-Cheek, or that's off the cards that, Thomas Tuchel really likes him, probably not going to get a loan? Or do you think let's not take that out of the cards at all?
I don't, with Ruben now, like I thought last season was the whole do or die thing. Then he goes on loan at Fulham, doesn't really set the world alight, and then he comes back and he still has another do or die season. So it's like I think loan is completely off the cards, because even if he goes on loan, Miz, you ask yourself, just say he goes to somewhere like a Palace that he did really well at a few years ago, and he does really well. Still, even after doing really well, does he just get into this team or this squad? Like, I don't think it makes that much difference if he does well. I think because he'll always have this factor of he's that academy guy with a very unique build that did well a few years ago. So that's the reputation he's living off, basically.
As you said, man, it has to be a formational change, or else...
Or say, realistically, it could just be sold as well.
Yeah, because up front, there's Pulisic, there's Callum, there's Ziyech, there's Mount. Like, it's just that. There's Tiemoue. Do you know what I mean? And if we get a Haaland, like the news is saying, we are definitely going to get a striker, then even one of those players are still missing out, let alone Ruben. Do you know what I mean? So it has to be a formational change, or else how does someone like Ruben get any sort of game time, which is crazy? Like, I know we're going to play a lot of games, but it would have to, for me, it would have to be that Thomas Tuchel tries something different in this preseason, and that could be a 3 in midfield, and maybe he throws in Ruben in that mix. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, let us know what your thoughts are in the live chat. What you think about Ruben Loftus-Cheek, whether he's going to get an opportunity. All of the news articles are saying that he will get an opportunity in the preseason. But as Kishan's saying, maybe it's fine and dandy in preseason. But
one other thing is, I know if we go to a 4 at the back, but if we go to a 4-2-3-1, that's the same problem still exists, where Ruben, we don't see him as a 6, we don't see him as a 10. So it's like, again, it'd have to be like a 4-3-3 or maybe a diamond in midfield, but I can't see as good as a diamond, really.
Exactly. And Thomas Tuchel, let's be honest, he loves a double pivot. He loves two in that holding area, basically controlling the game. So let's see what happens, man. I'm excited, though. I'm excited to see what Ruben's going to be up to in this preseason, which I'm very keen to see some of these matches. And I hope
to come good as well, Miz. Like, I'm not saying it as a hater. Like, if he's good, I'd love it. Like, brilliant, and I'd want him in the squad, that's fine, but I just can't see it, is what I'm saying.
100. I love when Marcus Rashford's in the house. Thank you so much, Marcus Rashford. We shall see if Ruben can play or not. That's exactly what we're going to see. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got over 80 people live right now. Smash the like button. That's the first thing. Let's get the likes up to at least 80. If you're enjoying this conversation, we're going to talk about a few more players in this preseason and how this is going to roll out. And check out Kishan's socials. It's in the description right now. So yeah, guys, smash the like button. Let's get the likes up to 80. All right, Kishan, let's talk about a few more players in this preseason that are going to be featuring. Next up, I want to talk about Marc Guehi. Marc Guehi is going to be back in this preseason. I'm very excited to see Marc Guehi, my man. Honestly, I'm really excited because he had a fantastic season with Swansea. I don't know if he was player of the season for Swansea? I'm not really sure. Live chat, let us know. We've got over 80 people. You guys are always great about these sort of things. So let us know whether Marc Guehi was player of the season for Swansea or whoever else it was. But Kishan, man, if we do maintain the three at the back, he's shoot in for one of the positions because we literally don't have all the other boys coming in as yet. So I'm excited to see Marc Guehi and see what he can bring. I feel like he is going to impress Thomas Tuchel massively. What's your thoughts?
I think, like you said, with the other boys not being there, he's got quite a chance of playing quite a lot of the preseason. So if he does well in preseason, he could very easily make the squad and centre back one of those positions where I think we could do with one more. I know, like, we have Zuma on the bench, or sometimes we might have to keep Christensen on the bench, like in this cup, because we have Thiago Silva in the middle and stuff like that. But I still think if we have one extra centre back like a Guehi, we don't necessarily need to go out and purchase anyone. 100. But at the same time, I do kind of want to see how he does in a Premier League loan, because I think we can give him minutes, but I'm not sure if we can give him the level of minutes that he'll need consistently to improve, especially with like our schedule. Is like, we look at our first 7 games and would you just like chuck Guehi in there straight away or wait to give him his chance? Or not?
It's a good point. It's a good point. When you think about Thiago Silva, probably the main starter in the middle, but I think Christensen will get a lot of game time because Thiago Silva won't be able to play all of that game. So Christensen is almost like Thiago Silva is almost like one player. Do you know what I mean? Like they're literally just one player because they'll just keep rotating and play enough games, right? You still have Azpilicueta as well. And recently there's been some quotes, and I don't know whether these quotes are real or whatnot, reliable, but this particular journalist, I don't know exactly who the journalist is, but that quote's flying around that Thomas Tuchel actually believes Reece James to be the long-term right centre-back. And that kind of makes sense because we said that as well. We saw that he's far more suited defensively as opposed to he's not that enterprising going forward. So we've got Reece James in the right centre-back. We've got Christensen and Thiago Silva. We've got Rudiger. So let's think about some backups. Azpilicueta will obviously be interchangeable with Reece James. Zuma, I'm not really sure how much he's going to get, and he's always been on the outer. He's probably one player that I think maybe he gets sold. I don't know. But let's say if he still stays, do you think there's still a place for Guehi to be like I suppose, a backup for Rudiger because he is that left-sided player?
I think so, actually, because Zuma, very weirdly, when Tuchel has put him in, I know a lot of the time it has been taking Rudiger's position, but he has played him in the centre of the back three quite a bit as well, hasn't he, Thomas?
Yeah.
I know we see it like that, but yeah, with Zuma, he's a weird one because every time like he plays, he's proper brilliant where like you don't feel that you've lost out on much. Against Atleti in the second leg, he was so good in the middle, and then in another game against like the Arsenal, he just took so long on the ball, and that kind of own goal mistake was basically his fault. So he's such a weird one. That's why I think he has a chance. And like you said, Zuma is one of those that could be sold. But again, like I think I said this a few weeks ago, I just proper can't see someone like paying the fee that we want, because I think when you look at Zuma,
there's been no rumors. There's literally been no rumors.
Probably about a £30 million defender, right, Zuma? So, like,
that cheap?
You think wait, really? You think more than that?
Bro, how old is Zuma, man? Let me just have a look at this. Zuma's young, and in a back four, Zuma is not bad. So Zuma's 26, man. I don't even think he's at his prime yet. Do you know what I mean? For a defender, I think there's a defender in him if we go to a back four. So whoever else is I reckon he should be going for at least 40 mil, man. Honestly.
You got to remember, you got like 5 goals for us as well.
Yeah, he's one of the top scorers for us.
So yeah, in a 4, he was actually quite good. And I remember his aerial stats being like, probably, I think they were the best in Europe at one stage.
Under Frank Lampard. I think under Frank Lampard.
Yeah, he was winning everything in the air. So he's one of those where like bringing the ball out and playing with the ball at his feet really doesn't suit him.
That's not him.
That's the way we're gonna play with Tuchel. So I think someone like Guehi definitely has a chance, because I've seen some of his work on the ball at Swansea, and he looks really good on the ball. He's not a particularly tall centre back as well, and I think that might help him on the ball.
You know what I like about Marc Guehi as well, man? I've seen some of his interviews. Is a humble character, man. He's a good character. Like, he talks well. You can tell his attitude is very good. He's a very strong lad. He's going to take things very seriously. He's going to work his backside off. I like that about him, man. I really do. I feel like if given an opportunity as even as a squad player, which will do a lot of good for him. But I do like what you said, Kishan, that is it the right time to be a squad player for him? Is it better to get a loan and get that experience in a Premier League team now? Let's explore that for a second, Kishan. If we are sending him on a Premier League loan, what sort of team would you be looking at? Like, don't tell me Burnley. Let's throw in Burnley, low block, defend the living daylights out of the opposition. I mean, what sort of a loan deal would you be looking at?
You look at what's going on at Brighton and Ben White moving on.
My man you're thinking, aren't you?
I think Marc Guehi could do like really well there.
I like that. Brighton's good, man. They play from the back as well, so that's a good shout.
Potter as well, so I think that would be a good loan, because Norwich is gone already. You can't send him there because Billy's there. I think someone like Brighton, potentially Leeds, but I can't see them going for him.
That's a good one as well, man. Leeds. That's a real good one. But I think they're stacked. Like, they've got that Lorente guy, don't they? Or like that? Yeah, they've got quite a few good players over there. I do like the Brighton one, because if Ben White does go for 50 mil, they may not want to throw that money into the market and just rush into someone, and they may look for a loan opportunity. Someone like Marc Guehi would be fantastic. Would you entertain an overseas sort of loan move for him?
It depends on the level, I guess, because but then I think he's someone who's earmarked as someone who can actually play for us. So I think he needs to develop in England, actually, because I think a loan in our league would actually benefit him, because physically, if he's played in the Championship, I think physically he's going to be fine.
Ready. Yeah.
It's kind of technical aspects. And I think like playing under a team, someone under like Graham Potter or Bielsa, where they're passing the ball a lot, they're having a lot of the ball, I think that will benefit him quite a lot, because he's already got the physical side. But one other thing with him is the whole contract thing, because I know his contract next summer.
Yeah.
We have one. I think we've got that Giroud option with him, where we could just slap on the other year.
Yeah.
But with him, then it's like, if you're not giving him, if you keep him and you're not giving him the game time, would you want to sign a new one? Or if you're sending him, I think regardless of what we do with the guy, we need to tie him down. And I'm really surprised about this, because we don't normally let it get this bad. But I feel like that we've got so many players, especially in the centre-back position, that are all out of contract next summer. We've got Christensen, we've got Rudiger, we've got Guehi as well. So it's a bit too much right now.
And you know what? And also, I know you talked about centre-back. Tino Livramento is another one that's literally in the limbo. I'll tell you why. There's two factors. One, some of these youngsters in the academy, they're very good. They're worried that they're not going to get the game time at Chelsea. So and that's a legitimate worry to have, because you may be great, but if we keep bringing in people from outside, then you're not going to have a chance. So you better off go. The other thing is, with some of the ones that are actual starters, like Rudiger and Christensen, I'll tell you why they're not doing it is because they want more. Yeah. And they now know that their stocks are high. And they know some of the players that get more than them and who barely even play for us, who are in the bench, it hasn't really even impacted that much overall. They get more than them. And they're like, well, it's either you pay. Like, honestly, Kishan, let's look at the Christensen situation. He has to be one of the top 5 defenders in the world at the moment, wouldn't you say?
it's a weird one. I'm gonna hold off on saying that because I don't know, it just sounds weird to say. But in terms of form, like if someone's won the Champions League and got to the semi-final with Denmark, he's got to be pretty much right up there. In terms of, it doesn't necessarily matter if we think he's in the top 5 or not, but it's like his stock is very high.
So high, so high.
Teams can do with someone like that, especially if they see he's going into his final year of the contract. He might actually get quite a few inquiries before we tie him down, and then he can use that further bargaining power. Where like I think Barcelona have always been linked with him because of the style.
Ooh, that would be a juicy move for him. You know, he would not say no to that.
Yeah, I think he would. I think he'd still stay. I really think he's gonna stay, but it's just like if he gets an offer from them with some good money. I don't know if they can pay good money right now with their situation, but he can use that and come back to us and say, look, you're giving Hudson-Odoi 120 grand. I'm on whatever I'm on. I played in the final. I came on and I did well. And I've got to this semi with Denmark. What are you guys going to do for me?
Literally, he will say, I need to see the mullah. I need the mullah, pretty much. I need a lot of money. And you know, if he doesn't get that and, you know, Chelsea doesn't budge, and then Chelsea also has the issue with Rudiger as well, where Rudiger is literally asking for a lot of money as well. Rudiger apparently has been quoted to say he wants somewhere around 180 to 200,000 per week, pounds. Do you know what I mean? He's not even in the top 10 earners at the moment for Chelsea. So Chelsea can't have all of a sudden Rudiger on 200,000, Christensen on 200,000. You know, pretty soon Mason Mount's going to ask for an increase as well because he probably deserves it. He 100% deserves it. Reece James just around the corner. If we get someone like Erling Haaland coming in, he's probably going to be on 400,000-500,000. Like, you can't keep up with that kind of stuff. Do you know what I mean? And then someone like Marc Guehi, who's, let's say, you know, is at a fantastic season with Swansea. Let's say he goes on a loan in a Premier League and he absolutely kills it there as well. He's going to come back and go, what are you going to do for me now? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, what are you going to do for me? Because I'm literally going to have a lot more suitors. So this is an interesting sort of conundrum that we're in, Kishan. Do you feel both Rudiger and Christensen, though, they will be part of the Chelsea fixture for next season?
For next season, for sure, regardless, I don't think we'd sell either because I think Christensen, I feel he's more likely to sign than Rudiger. Rudiger, he just seems more bullish about it. When he's asked about it, he's like, no, I'm focusing on the Euros right now. It's just like he's not giving you much to feed off right now. I think he knows what he's doing. And fair enough, because when you do look around, he does deserve it as much as anyone else. Because when we were saying like leaders in dressing room and those that fight, he's like right up there. So weird one, but I think for this coming season, like he said, he's properly in Tuchel's plans, and he's like, I will play for you. I want to be. So regardless, this season we're fine. It's just about tying them down for the future.
Yeah, man, I agree with Subhajit, Jyoti, Roy that both will stay. I'm pretty certain both will stay. All right, let's wrap up the whole Marc Guehi situation. What's your gut saying? Obviously, we're going to be all eyes on Marc Guehi as well in this preseason, exactly seeing what he's going to be up to and how he plays. I think he's going to be absolutely burning it up, man. I think he's going to have a fantastic preseason. I think he's determined. But whether he stays or not, which is going to be very difficult, Azpilicueta, Thiago Silva, Christensen, Rudiger. Who else we got? Did I miss anyone? Reece James? Zuma. Yeah. I think that's it. We've got 6 there. So what's your final thoughts on Marc Guehi before we move on to the next player?
I think he'll have a brilliant preseason, and therefore Premier League teams will look at him, and then he'll go on a Premier League loan. Fair
enough. Live chat, let us know what your thoughts are. I tend to think as well, I would love him to stay in the squad, but I just don't know how it all happens. That's the thing. There's so many. Unless we get rid of Zuma. Unless Zuma gets sold, and I think Marc Guehi is then 100% shooting to have a spot there. And he'll be rotating in. But if Zuma's there and all the other players, and now that Reece James is now a genuine one of the centre backs as well, so he's no longer like a wing back.
Another thing is, I'm not sure. I think even if we sell Zuma, we do get linked with centre backs. So
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's automatic that Guehi would just come in straight away and play, even if Zuma was sold, because then you start getting links to like Jules Koundé and centre backs like that.
Yeah. I don't really understand that, man. I really don't understand it. Like, it makes me think that we're going to be changing a formation then. Like, Thomas Tuchel doesn't trust these players in a four at the back situation. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, that is an interesting point because we are so linked with the CB on a day-to-day basis, which is funny. Some people are saying Malang Sarr. Honestly, guys, Malang Sarr, no. I've actually had a Porto journalist come in and he said that they don't rate Malang Sarr, and that was in Porto. Do you know what I mean? They don't rate Malang Sarr. He hasn't played that many games for Porto. He's going to come back, and I'm telling you, Chelsea's probably going to either loan him or sell him off to somewhere else. So that's all I'm going to say. I'll be very surprised if Malang Sarr happens. All right. Kishan, let's talk about the next player. Armando Broja is going to be back in the preseason. Lots of buzz around this particular position because Chelsea's looking for a striker, of course. Armando Broja had a very good season for Vitesse. Look, I think it's too early for him. I think Vitesse is probably not that caliber of level that I want to see him on like, it's a good first loan. Don't get me wrong. Straight from the academy, you go to Vitesse, great. That's how the succession plan happens. I want to see him on a championship loan now, like play for a championship team, see if he can bang in tons of goals, get them to like, top six, maybe try your best to get them to the Premier League promotion. But do you give this particular boy any sort of hope at all for in the preseason and then maybe an impression for next season?
I actually do,
Oh, Kishan, I knew you would. I knew you would.
The thing with him, striker position, you got to realize that Giroud's probably out. Tammy is most likely going. So I think there is a spot that opens up. And I'm not saying he'd get that much game time or anything, but it's just like if he comes in on this preseason and does well, and I think he will, I think he'll definitely one of those players that can, purely because of the position he plays in and the kind of personnel that is probably going to be leaving us, that he can be in the squad in quite a few Premier League matches this season.
Do you feel, what is it that excites you about him that you think that he will be an okay addition as a backup? Like, what is it that you've seen so far that you think, do you know what? I don't mind him if Tammy most likely going as well, and Giroud 100% to AC Milan. It's probably almost done. But what is it that you like about Broja that you think that's not bad to have as a backup?
See, this is the thing though. Like, if I was saying this about Broja, it's kind of like he's got a bit of everything. Where I've seen him, he's got pace. He looks like he's got some good strength in like the Eredivisie, but it's just like, I kind of saw that stuff with Tammy in the Championship as well. So I do kind of get you that
exactly
you do need another loan. But if he does well in preseason, I feel like Tuchel might be someone that he looks at. I think, like you're saying, a Championship loan is probably right, but just purely because he's in that position. Sometimes like you get a player that doesn't go on loan for a season for whatever reason, like Billy Gilmore, you didn't send him off straight away. And then
true.
He teaches him stuff, and then I think Broja could maybe be one of those players that sits on our bench for a year and then possibly goes on loan next year.
Look, I mean, I'll be very annoyed if we don't sign a striker, bro. I'll be very annoyed if we don't sign.
This is the thing I'm saying. Like, no chance is he going to be our first choice striker. I'm saying like Havertz would still be second, and this is like giving Carabao minutes and stuff. And even at that level, maybe I want to win the Carabao at the same time. So it's like it's a bit. But I do think he could get like the odd few minutes here and there possibly this season.
Fair enough, man. I do understand that side. Look, few of the live chat are actually saying Broja to keep as a third choice. Some are saying loan. I personally would like to see his development continue and not be just sitting in the bench. The best way to develop some of these young talent is, I feel personally, is they need to keep playing on a week-to-week basis. That's only when you're going to see them develop and you're going to see their different characteristics build. By having them in the bench and doing what they need to do in training, it's not the same. It's not the same. You need to see them in match sort of environment and critical situation to get the best out of them. Like, for example, Jules commented, Mason Mount initially went to Vitesse, then he went to Derby, then he got there. Like, that's a good progression plan. Do you know what I mean? And it needs to be like that. And that's how he's been developing. So personally, I would like to see Armando Broja have a very good preseason, don't get me wrong. But I think this is one player I would like to see him go to a championship loan and really do the bits over there. All right, let's talk about another player. The bad boy Bakayoko, Kishan. I mean, this guy apparently recently has said that he's done. He's begging Chelsea. Let me go. Like, enough's enough. Don't send me on another loan and this and that and whatnot. Sell me. I think some of the Italian clubs are after him. I think AC Milan's after him. I kind of thought if he was given an opportunity, but I know you're going to laugh. I thought he would actually be an okay-ish double pivot player. Like, I thought, physical stature that he has and maybe a bit more maturity. I'm not saying he starts for us, but as a backup, if we don't end up getting a midfielder, let's just say for argument's sake, we don't get a Tchouaméni or a Rice, give some of those odd minutes to Bakayoko, because I think he could possibly play as a double pivot. Even though he's had a horrendous time at Chelsea, I don't one bit promote this, but I'm just saying, I'm entertaining that idea. What's your thoughts, Kishan?
I thought about that as well at the same time. So it's something that's funny, but all these things cross your mind with every single player coming back as well. So it's like, it did cross my mind, but he's a player that I'm sick of every summer. When you just see his name linked with like everyone, and then you hear a team is willing to pay like 20 million and you get your hopes up. You're like, yeah, we'll get 20 million, we'll put it there and whatnot. And then it's like that fizzles out and then he just ends up going on loan somewhere. And then you got the same problem with him next season. The thing is, this is his final year of contract. So for me, it's just like, get anything possible. Not like solo, because I think we tried to give him a new contract to keep his value. But I'm kind of glad he didn't sign it as well. It's just like, I think he's quite heavily linked to AC Milan. And if they want him, take him, to be honest. Like, we'll probably be quite open to seeing what fee they'll offer as well. So,
do you know what? I want to search up exactly how much Bakayoko is worth on transfer market. I know this isn't the benchmark.
What do they say about 15 million euros?
You'd be happy with 15 million, yeah?
Euros, yeah. I'd take 10 million quid for him, in his final year of contract.
Someone's saying that he's apparently signed a contract extension till 2023. Is that true? Live chat. Let us know. Transfer market saying 20 million euros. That's decent. I would actually sell him for that.
He is final year contract and stuff. I'm not sure if that takes into account all of that stuff. I think it might do, but in practice, what they say and what
Chelsea triggered it apparently.
Have they?
Yeah, a lot of people are saying Chelsea triggered that contract extension. So it is probably till not signed. Chelsea triggered it, not signed. What does that mean? So if Chelsea trigger it, Bakayoko can still say no to it? So what's the point of triggering it?
The Giroud one basically missed. Like, how Giroud was out of contract, but they just, like, the club has an option of sticking an extra year on. Sometimes they do these ones where both sides have an option. So either Giroud or either us. So even if he says, like, no, I don't want to take up the option, we might be like, yeah, but we do.
Yeah, okay. So you're pretty much, it's compulsory. You have to then stay around. Like, if Chelsea triggers it, then you have to stay. Is that what it means?
Yeah. So Giroud, we're not under any obligation to let Giroud go. It's that if we let him go, it'd be like a gesture of goodwill, basically, from us saying, all right.
Right. So is that why AC Milan's saying let him go on a free?
Yeah.
Don't trigger that.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Look, personally, I think it's probably good to see Tiemoue Bakayoko go. If we can get, as you said, anywhere between 10 to 15 million pounds, I think it should be lights out. I mean, Kishan, the final thoughts on Tiemoue Bakayoko?
Yeah, because the thing on top of the 10 odd million quid is we made quite a bit in loan fees, I guess, as well. So you've got to count all that kind of stuff in and just put it towards that 40 million that we paid him, and just try. If we paid about half of it, we've got to see it as like we got a season out of him and an FA Cup. So take the positives with it and move on.
Take the positives with it and move on. We've got over 120 people live right now. Please smash the like button. Let's get the likes up to 100. Honestly, the likes help the channel out a lot, guys. So please smash the like button, and it exposes it to more viewers out there. And if you're here for the first time, subscribe. The race to 6,000 is on, and check out Kishan's socials in the description right now. Go and follow him. Kishan, let's talk about Ethan Ampadu now. I mean, my favorite. I'm not totally satisfied with the two loan moves. I know maybe the first one with Leipzig, we were all excited. Wow, what a fantastic place to go. Under Nagelsmann as well, and that Leipzig team with Timo Werner went to the semi-finals, I believe, of the Champions League. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
And I thought, wow, great time. And then obviously Ampadu had a fantastic match against Spurs when knocking them out. Sheffield United, not so great. Sheffield United got relegated. He was in and out, not always starting. I mean, we've already talked about all the players that are stacked in our defense, and also now looks like in midfield as well, Kishan. I mean, where do you see Ethan Ampadu? I mean, does he even feature for you, bro? Talk to me. Tell me honestly. Live chat as well. Let me know what you think about Ethan Ampadu.
Ethan Ampadu will probably get a chance at preseason. Like I can see him.
Check this out.
You look.
But some people don't. Some people do not like Declan Rice.
Yeah, it's like he's a weird one, Ampadu, because like he was someone who was earmarked a few years ago as that academy kid who was better than everyone. Who'd probably be the one that if there was one to make the first team, it would be Ampadu. But now you just look at the two loans he's had. Leipzig was a weird one because when he played, he seemed to play well, but just didn't play enough. And then Sheffield United wasn't really a great team. I think with him, because he's still young, he still has that thing where it's like it's not too late. So just stick him out on another loan. Just try and get a better one because he's a Wales international, etc. I still think there'll be decent interest in the guy if we put him on the loan market from the Premier League.
He's only 20 years old, man. Like it feels like he's been around for so long.
That's right. Like if you're giving players like Loftus-Cheek his do or dies at like 25, someone like Ethan Ampadu at 20, you got to remember some players at 20 haven't even had a loan spell or anything. So for someone 20-year-old, he's done decent in terms of like getting minutes under his belt. So I think just another loan straight away would be fine for him.
I'm just bringing his stats. I just want to see what he did last season. Show. Yeah, he's 20. Apparently he's worth around 15 million euros. That's as per transfer market. Last season, Kishan, I mean, he's played 25, like he's featured in 25 Premier League games. Whether that starts or not, I don't know. But 25 Premier League games, 3 FA Cups, 1 Carabao, played a total of 2,451 minutes. We can see here whether he started. Okay, so 90 minutes, quite a few starts, man. He's actually started a lot. Why isn't he talked enough, man, Kishan? Like, it looks like he started quite a bit, and I literally have not seen enough about him last season at all.
I think because he was playing for Sheffield United, to be honest, and he's just losing every game. There was a few games where like he was particularly poor, and like I remember a period where like Sheffield United fans really hated the guy. Like you'd go on Twitter and the slander he'd get consistently.
Wow, really?
Yeah, but like when I watched him, he was never that bad. But I remember like for the odd goal and stuff, like remember Eze doing him dirty. And then
yeah.
But Eze can do that with like quite a lot of players. But I think in terms of just getting minutes under your belt, if you just look at it from that perspective, and like 25 games that he featured in the Premier League, I think that's quite good, regardless of like the level of performance. Give him another year, to be fair. Like at 20, he's got a few years of development in him. Like, let him keep going.
True. I like this commentary from Brent Smith. Brent Smith, thank you so much for joining, my man. Ever since he cut his hair,
he's gone down in my estimation. Yeah, since he's cut his hair, and I was like, it's like, you know, Calvin Phillips. If he didn't have that man bun, he probably wouldn't be in the squad, Miz.
True. The hair does play a lot in it, you know, even with Reece James. I mean, look, he's probably gone the other way, where when he's cut the hair, he started becoming a lot better defensively, or whether he goes forward. Yeah, going forward is something that Reece James, even when he cut his hair off, wasn't looking that great. Maybe some of these players need to really think twice before they do something like that, the iconic styles. But you know what, Kishan, you're right. Maybe Ethan Ampadu, one more season. I mean, where though? Where, but like Leipzig has been done. Sheffield United, like where now? What's the next loan movement? Do you know what I mean?
There's more teams in the Prem. Is like, thing is, like, you know how we talk about Marc Guehi going to like a Brighton and stuff. The one thing about Ampadu is now that he's not done great at Sheffield, I think the other teams that come in for him would be like of a similar level, that in the Premier League they will still be struggling. I can't see him getting up the table in the Premier League, so that's one thing that's going to be tough for him. But he just needs to try and do like a Conor Gallagher type thing and try and stand out the most he can, because you can have a team in which a poor team and still stand out. It is possible. So
it is possible.
That's the next call. Yeah.
That's why I'm a bit surprised that with Sheffield United, I'm surprised how many starts he's had, and literally none of us. I mean, maybe we were all so enthralled about the Chelsea run at the end of the season, and since Thomas Tuchel took over, we could care less what anyone else was doing outside. Yeah. But even then, you know, when you hear about a good performance, like you see the compilation coming out. Yeah, like for Marc Guehi, exactly. Like for Marc Guehi, like you'd see the compilation. For Ethan Ampadu, you didn't see much, and that's why I'm just a bit worried, man. And I just don't like, yeah, maybe he's young and maybe just. The other question that I want to ask you, Krishan, if he does go on a loan, let's say he does, what position though?
See, this is the thing. Like, I think he's like one of those he's a centre back in a back three, but I think a DM in a back four kind of thing. So like, I can't see him as a centre back when playing a bog standard four at the back.
Yeah,
I don't really think he has like the physicality for it.
Yeah, same, man. I tend to think that maybe back three he could play one of the centre backs. Back four he has to be one of the pivot players. It's just, man, I don't see how he gets an opportunity in either one of those positions with us now. Even if it's a back three, how he fits in a back three, I don't know. Who he replaces or who he acts as a backup for, I don't know. And if it's a pivot, he's definitely not getting an opportunity in a pivot, especially when we're thinking about getting another midfielder. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right. Let's look at, we've got Richard here saying, Richard, you must be watching some of the Sheffield United games. Personally, I didn't watch. He's saying he got various man of the match at Sheffield, so that's great. I just don't understand why he hasn't been talked enough in the Chelsea community as he was there. All right, let's talk about Conor Gallagher properly. I know we touched a little bit about that, but Kishan, I think he had a fantastic season at West Brom. I think there is a definite player in him. He's a hard worker. He's an engine. He's definitely someone in midfield who does the dirty work, much like the Kante-esque kind of player. He's not someone who's going to chip in with assists. He's not someone who's going to chip in with goals. Maybe down the track he could develop that. But is that the kind of player that you think he is? More of a worksman type of player in midfield, does all the dirty work and then allows the other sort of, playmakers to do their thing?
He kind of is like that, but I think that kind of takes away from like what he can do on the ball, because before this loan move, he was someone who was seen as that Mount type, and then some people used to almost call him like a number 10. So
Mm-hmm.
he's a lot silkier on the ball than I think people give him credit for. And I don't really see him as that defensive person, but he does get stuck in as well. That's the thing I like about him. Like,
Yeah.
he's not scared at any level. He's one of those kind of players that's just unfazed. Was at a poor team as well, you got to remember. So like West Brom, especially when Big Sam came in and stuff, they weren't going to keep the ball. They were just, and fair play, that's what he knows, and that can get him out of trouble. But like, in a better team with a better style of play, I think he could be very good. But again, for us, we're the Champions League winners, we need to push for a league.
I like
title.
this comment. I really like this comment because I remember at Charlton, he was actually scoring goals.
And at Swansea, he had a loan at Swansea as well for half a season. He did half at Charlton as well. So it was like, he is like, I think on the ball and stuff, he could be very good, like coming into the future. But it's just, when you look at the type of players we've got, even with Mount ahead of him and stuff, it's going to be really hard for him to cement a position, not just this season. Even if he goes on loan somewhere and does really well, it's going to be like really, really hard for him in the future to get in this Chelsea team.
100% agree. I like this comment from Declared. There is more chance of Gallagher to fit in the six than Ruben Loftus-Cheek. 100%. I think Gallagher is probably someone who could fit in the six. Whether he gets an opportunity this season, I'm not sure. Kishan, loan him again, keep him, sell him. Thoughts?
Loan again. The reason not to sell yet is because I still think he can go and have another good loan, and then in terms of value, that could rise. That could increase his value, and we could get a lot more for him than we can currently get as well.
Yeah, look, I wouldn't mind seeing another loan at a Premier League club or even overseas club. It doesn't really matter. You know, everyone that tends to go to Germany ends up being a superstar. So I wouldn't mind sending him to one of the German clubs, and then comes back as one of the hottest properties in world football. It could possibly happen, but I don't think someone like Conor Gallagher would entertain that. Crystal Palace were apparently in for him to buy something like 15 million to 20 million pounds. Would you entertain that? Because I remember you saying that you would entertain that amount.
The amount at the time is like, at this point, 15 to 20 million is very good, I think. But like, I'm looking to what another successful loan could do for him, and potentially like the 25 to 30 kind of range. Because like, you look at someone like Joe Willock, who went on loan at Newcastle and did the business there. I think Connor has like the potential to do something like that, or have a season like that as well.
Yeah, 100. I like this, man. Anyone going to Leeds, man? As I've always said in this channel, after Chelsea, Leeds is one that I watch a lot. Leeds.
Gallagher to Leeds would be brilliant as well.
And they run and they run and they run.
Because I remember you saying like Gilmore and stuff to Leeds, whereas I think someone like Connor fits Leeds a lot more with his energy levels and stuff. So no, fair play. And I think again, he'll be another one that when he comes like at preseason, I think he has the work ethic to impress. So when you're watching him in training, when someone like Tuchel's watching him in training, I think he'll be impressed by him. And then I think he'll get chances in preseason matches as well. And then that'll get some more interest, because I think there'll already naturally be interest from his West Brom loan, and who's higher in the table. So Palace, I think, is the one that I'd probably look at.
Yeah, the beautiful game is saying, take the money and run. Take the money and run. And you know what? Just to go off the back of what you're saying as well, Kishan, even Frank Lampard was quite impressed in last preseason. I remember he was very impressed with Conor Gallagher. In fact, played Conor Gallagher quite a bit as well in the preseason. But then obviously Conor went on a loan to West Brom, and he did extremely well there too. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's a lot of players we've talked about. So shout out in the live chat if any other players that you want us to touch. Kishan, before we wrap things up, any particular other players that we have not touched on that comes off the top of your head that you are looking to see a little bit of in this preseason? There's the Charlie Masunda. Is he going to get a chance? Dujon Sterling apparently might be getting that opportunity, and that's a good one to have a look at. Any other ones that you're sort of penciling down?
For me, the two Tinos, Andrew and Livramento. I want to see them Henry Lawrence is another one as well. But I think the two Tinas, because Andrin's been training with us all this time, but I really just want to see him go out on loan and get some minutes because he's
This
not
is
going
a good shout.
Yeah, he's one that no one talks about. Trevor Chababa. He's had
Wasn't he in French league? Like for the was he playing for the champions or no?
No. Lorient.
Okay.
Yeah, so he was there, and I think like when I watch his highlights, I think on highlights everyone looks brilliant, but he looks like someone we could use, this season. Like how you were talking about Bakayoko. I'd rather invest in Trevor and put him in the team, to be honest, because he definitely looks like someone we could make use of in that position. Yeah. I'm definitely looking forward to him. And then,
I am too. There's some names coming through in this live chat. Emba, he's still an academy player, right? Kishan, I don't think he'll be featuring.
Yeah, and he had that big injury, didn't he? So he had that huge injury. He's only had a few minutes, but apparently, I think in that article that I read, I think it was Football London by Adam Newson, and he said Mbayamba is someone who's like will be given a chance at preseason. So
really?
Yeah, there's nothing wrong in taking him along with it.
Okay.
So we'll see what comes with that. Lewis Bate is another one. He's a good one, but again, there's too many in that position. And then you look at someone injuring. I'm talking about.
Tell me about this one, bro.
I think if we're going for the league and we're serious, we have to get him in somehow, don't we?
I love it. This one, I love Kishan, man. He's such a funny man. I love this.
Matson. I forgot about him as well.
Drinkwater is someone definitely not getting an opportunity, ladies and gentlemen, even though Kishan's having a joke around, but I'm being serious. He's definitely not getting an opportunity. Drinkwater has to, I don't know what we do with him. I don't know how he's still in the team. Matson. Where was he? Was he at Charlton?
Yeah.
Did he even do well? I was so happy, man.
He did really well. That's League One. He did? Yeah, that was League One. So I think realistically for him,
I think highly about him, man. I really do. That little bit of that I saw under Frank Lampard in that FA Cup where he came in. I think we played Grimsby, maybe. I know it was an easy game.
Yeah.
Man, he looked. I thought, wow, that's a lot of energy. That's a lot of speed on the left side from someone like Matson. I just don't know why he's not as a backup left back for us with Chilwell being the front line, and then we let go of Emerson and Alonso. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think it sounds simple to say that kind of thing, Miz, but when someone like Alonso, you look at what he actually brings to the team in terms of goals.
True.
It's like that experience you can't necessarily just replicate it. But I think with Matson, in terms of profiles for left back, is correct. He's like that flying type. So something to look forward to for sure. Ross Barkley is another one.
Oh yeah, Ross Barkley. I saw his name, man. You know me, Kishan. I used to be so pumped about Ross Barkley, man. I used to jump up and down every time Ross would play. I don't know. I just got this crazy feeling.
We thought we'd get 40 million for the guy.
Yeah. Ross Barkley, it's done. He has to be sold. But oh boy, I'd always imagined that we'd get that Everton Ross Barkley, but we saw glimpses here and there for Chelsea, especially and that Frank Lampard first season post lockdown when we restarted. There were some moments for Ross Barkley. That goal against Liverpool, if you remember, that long-range shot, that was good. But yeah, those days are long and gone. I don't think Ross Barkley. Baba Rahman, I don't know, man. There was a recent interview I saw. Baba Rahman was saying that, he was not wanted by Conte, and then obviously since then he's been going on loans. I think he probably has to go as well. Michy Batshuayi, just quickly, Kishan. Michy Batshuayi, what's go, keep, third choice striker?
Yeah, this is the thing. Like I was saying, Broja as third choice striker, and I think it makes sense to kind of like invest in Broja if you see him as like someone who can make it with us in some sort of capacity. But like, thing is, Michy, I really think over the course of his career, he's not got enough credit for what he can do. Like I was convinced that every time we put this guy in, he just seemed to score for us. Yeah. So it's like, if he was our third choice striker and he was okay with that, I wouldn't be too mad at it at all.
I think it's the wages, man. For a third choice striker, I think it eats up a lot of wages.
And that's another thing, because if he's third choice, then it gets to that point where you're like, you might as well just invest in someone young, because
exactly
like a Broja, because he's like, Michy is 27. He's not going to get that much better now. And in terms of value, I think we made him sign an extra 1-year deal last season. So he's got 1 year left now. And it's just like, get any fee you can. So for him,
has he featured for Belgium in this Euros at all? Did he come off the bench or anything?
I'm not even sure if he's come off the bench. I can't remember him coming on at all.
Me neither. Lukaku was just completely in control of that.
The other day, they were chasing the game like 2-1 down to Italy. Probably,
and he still didn't come on. I don't think he came on.
Nah, he didn't.
Yeah, man. It's probably
he had a really poor season for Palace as well. Like
he barely started. He barely even played.
I remember BT Sport did this chart thing, and it was like, who you think your player of the season, who you think will like be the surprise package. I put Michy Batshuayi as the surprise. I thought he'd go there and like get 10, 15 goals in this season.
Did he even get one? He must have got one.
I think he got 2, yeah.
Yeah, 2. Fair enough. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that pretty much wraps things up. Before we go, look, we're buzzing. Tomorrow, the preseason starts. We're going to see a lot of pictures coming through from the Fifth Stand app, training sessions, all these players coming back from academy and whatnot. And, some of the loan players, Ruben Loftus-Cheek is going to be majorly looked at. Marc Guehi is another one, and so on and so forth. The many players that we've talked about. So do look out for that. We're going to have a lot more streams in regards to all of this stuff. Tomorrow we'll be back again. I'll be back, whether it's transfer news or more Chelsea news. We'll see what it is. Do tune in somewhere between 11 a.m. UK to about 1 p.m. during that time. But obviously, I'll give a lot of heads up before that for you guys to prepare. Before you guys go, guys, please, we've still got over 110 people. Please, let's get the likes up to over 100. We've got 60 likes. Let's get the likes to at least 100. It helps the channel out, helps the video out a lot. If you've enjoyed this, hit that like button. Do you know what I mean? And keep coming back. And before you go as well, Kishan's socials in the description. Go out there and follow him in football Twitter and also in Instagram. You probably get him on Twitter, and then you can slowly find out in Instagram as well. But if you're following me on Instagram, you'll definitely see that I constantly tag Kishan in, so you'll be able to follow him there. So yeah, that pretty much wraps us up, guys. It's been a pleasure. I'll see you guys around. Until next time, enjoy. Take care.